Hello and welcome to the Local Loop, the brand new podcast covering everything Farmington and Farmington Hills. I am your co-host Dion Gennaro.
I am the other one, Trevor Medema.
And welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in and checking this out. This is actually going to be our first episode, the
First
inaugural,
one.
the inaugural one. So please bear with us as we come to terms with how to podcast and how to play off each other. This is definitely going to be a work in progress, but I'm really excited for the potential of this. Definitely, um, Trevor.
Yeah. What's up?
Tell me a bit about yourself.
All right.
Introduce yourself to our thousands of new fans.
Yeah, local real estate agent here in the Farmington Hills area for about 3 years now. Um, Heavily in commercial as well as residential real estate. Um,
What office are you with?
Keller Williams. Keller Williams in Farmington Hills is our office.
Cool.
And yeah, just your community-based realtor, really focus on giving back to the community and really just focusing on what we give back as much as we take.
Yeah, that's
It's
huge.
it's huge.
That's really important. I think especially for local business to kind of ingrain yourselves into a community by doing stuff like that.
It's everything, man.
It is everything. Um, beyond that, do you have any other roles within the Farmington area?
Yeah, so I serve on the board of directors for the local chamber, as well as the Farmington Youth Assistance and the Farmington Hills Education Foundation.
You wanna briefly tell the audience about what those 2 things are if
Yeah,
they're not
so
familiar?
the Farmington Youth Assistance program is an organization that focuses on disadvantaged and troubled youth in the Farmington public school system. There's a couple different capacities that organization serves as well. It oversees Operation Common Good, which is a student led organization that really kind of fundraises and helps uh, distribute hygiene products, clothing, and then going back to the Farmington Youth Assistance, we oversee Holiday Angels, uh, Shop with a Cop. Trying to think what else. We have a youth recognition breakfast for kids that have over 100 hours of community service. And then the Education Foundation for the Farmington Public School System is a designated 501(c)(3) for the schools. So any donations that the school receives comes through us, and then they get distributed, whether it's through grants or scholarships. And then there's different.
And then, like, flat donation, those stuff
Yep,
too, right?
flat donations, exactly. And just there's a couple other things that we do for fundraisers in that organization. Toast to Education, which I'm sure some of the listeners are familiar with. It's a good time, but
You sound like a busy guy. There's a lot going
it's
on.
a lot. Yeah,
But all that stuff is really important, and I think that, if you're not familiar with these types of organizations, there is a really big need for that
huge.
kinda stuff, and I know that people think, Farmington Hills, there's not that sort of need here, but you would be surprised that there's a need for it, and it gets used a lot
Mhm.
by a lot of families in the area, so, um
Enough about me,
yeah,
Dion.
thank you
Yeah,
for that and all your hard work and all of that, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it more and more
exciting.
as we record more episodes. I am a lifelong Farmington Hills resident. Grew up right at 12 and Middle Belt. Mom still lives there, and then own our family business, which has been serving the community for over 50 years. It's called Sergio's Pest Control, and still live in the community, and I'm also involved in the Chamber of Commerce, not on the board, but actually Trevor and I co-chair the young professionals group,
Yep.
and so that's been really exciting, and I've gotten to meet a lot of really awesome people through that. And I think that I'm very fortunate to have a successful business that I've learned quite a bit over the 20 years I've been doing it now, and been able to give people some insight and advice and just share experiences, and happy to definitely do more of that. You want to talk about how we met?
Sure, let's
You
do
know,
it.
so I'll share my story of how we met because it was actually through the Greater Farmington Area Chamber of
Mhm.
Commerce, and I joined about a year ago. It was like February 2024, and I went to what's called a morning boost, and what that morning boost is it's a like open invite to all of the chamber members to come and do a meet and greet, kind of first thing in the morning, and it was at one of the chamber members at Jan Pro, and it was it was full.
It was packed,
It was
packed.
there it was I feel like there was like 150 people in this tiny.
Oh, it was hot. It was like a college party, man.
It was absolutely like a college party, and I knew no one there. It was my first chamber meeting, and it was actually, your mom, Annette Campo, who I introduced myself to, and she said, "Oh, you know what? You have to go talk to my son, Trevor. He's right over there. If you can kinda squeeze your way through the sea of people, go chat with Trevor. He's an ambassador with the
Classic.
chamber." And, so that's my first memory of meeting you was just in that room of, like, 150 people, and it was, like, 100 degrees, and, that's a great impression.
Oh,
I
thanks, man.
immediately joined your networking
Networking, yeah, you
group,
did.
and it's been great ever since.
It's really funny because I think about the first time we met, and I really feel like for me, it was when we had beers at
Okay, yeah,
Heights Brewing
yeah,
for the
like our
first
first
time.
one-on-one meeting
Yeah,
kinda thing, yeah.
and, I feel like, yeah, we instantly hit it off. It was great. And just BSing, man, just talking about everything.
We definitely hit every possible topic in that hour meeting, and that's actually kind of how we hit it off after that first meeting and our continued one-on-ones, and as we took on more responsibilities together, I think you and I realized that we wanted to do more with it besides just having these conversations, and um, we talked about starting a podcast, and now
Here we are.
here we are.
Look at that.
Um, what do you think led to you wanting to start this podcast?
I think in the back of my mind, for a while now, I have really focused on having a philanthropic avenue to how I build my business. And then when you kind of came into that picture, and we started our friendship, and then just from like you said, the conversations we're having, that coupled with all this stuff that we're seeing in the community, experiencing, leading, I really felt I'm like, man, we got something here. I mean, people these days get a lot of their information from podcasts, and I'm like, man, what a great avenue to share it. And I actually did my first podcast with my mom, and man, like doing a podcast, it's for those of you who haven't done one, strongly suggest just going onto one and talking because uh, either you're really nervous and you don't like it, or you're really nervous and you love it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of both.
it is.
Kind of both, and we were talking before we started recording. I have a ton of experience doing podcasting. I produced one for
Let's talk about that.
Detroit City FC, which is at the time it was like a um, American sports fans would call it minor league, but it was a amateur, like, 4th division in the pyramid of soccer, so very low, but, my partner and I were, like, the biggest fans of this team and, met a ton of awesome people through it, and I recorded, over 50 episodes with not my partner, but a friend who was a writer, like a sports writer, and honestly, it was me kind of being the host and essentially interviewing him
Yeah.
because he was very insightful and the way he had with his written word was incredible. And then he spoke the way he wrote too.
Oh
So
man,
he was a great
you made
listener.
it easy.
He made it honestly, he truly made it easy. And so so I'm definitely experienced in this medium, and I think it's a great way to get information,
Mm,
and I know a lot of people who listen to hours upon hours of podcasts, and so for me, and one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast was, um, trying to keep up with what's going on in the community.
yeah.
There's actually I feel like it's very disjointed in how you can find information. about what's going on in the community.
Absolutely.
Unless you're on one of like the 4 or 5 different Facebook groups,
Which is can be toxic.
which could be super toxic.
Oh my gosh.
And then like, yeah, you can read the local newspapers, but there's not really something for, I feel like, our generation, because a lot of people are not on Facebook and don't want to be active in different groups and don't want
Yeah,
to pay
don't
attention to
blame
that
them.
kind of stuff. Definitely don't blame people who have that opinion. But yeah, just providing another medium for people to get information about what's going on in their community and how to keep up with what's going on, and honestly also how to get more involved, because I think now especially people more than ever want to get more involved in their community and realize that this is like, if you want to help make the world a better place, like it's starting at your community, and that's the easiest way to make your direct world a better place.
Absolutely.
And so, I think if you narrow your scope and narrow your focus on to things you can control, you can do a lot more. And so my goal with this is to help those people who have those thoughts find the ways that they can do that.
Well said.
So that's kind of why
I
I
love
want to
it.
do this. Yeah.
Let's do it, man. Let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah. So why did we go with the local loop?
Oh man. Well, I feel like obviously when you have an initial idea, it always changes before it actually comes to formulate and actually
Fruition. Yeah.
fruition. Yeah, there we go. There's gonna be a lot of that. Dion corrected me. I need that.
No, it's okay. Well,
It's good.
please correct
Um,
me too.
so the reason I feel like we went with the local loop was because we wanted a name that would be encompassing to what we're talking about, but not limiting to what we talked about as well. And so the local loop really, feel like for me and definitely add to it, represents that keeping people in the now and informed in what's going on, um,
In the loop.
in the loop. Yeah, keep them in the loop.
Keep it in the loop. There it is.
Bam. Um, but really, just but also allow us to talk about whatever we want to, right? I think, yes, we want to start with Farmington Hills, but also we want to talk about things that affect Farmington and Farmington Hills that might be regional and might be statewide. And so I feel like having that name, the local loop, allows us to not have to change the name, right? Um,
As this grows and expands and
Absolutely.
changes, evolves.
Absolutely. So, but that's my thought process around it.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that the name will also allow us to do things like interviewing guests. I know that we discussed potentially bringing on different community leaders, business owners, entrepreneurs, and in addition to kind of covering local topics, we also want to highlight the people that make the community great as well. And so, having other people help keep people in the loop, I think is a goal of this podcast as well. Because honestly, we don't want people to get sick of us just blabbering all day. And
No, and even just not even people you'd know, right? Just someone that like I think what excites me the most is someone that we just come across where like this person's interesting. Like, let's get them on.
yeah, and joining the chamber too allowed me to meet a ton of like people you would not expect to be super
100%.
interesting, that can absolutely share their stories and how they got to where they're at, and even like what brought them to the community. I know through the chamber and the young professionals group, we've met quite a few people where we're like, man, you have a really interesting story, and they might not think it's interesting, but it's like I it's just people living their lives,
Just living it.
and I always love to hear how people found their way to our community,
Absolutely.
and I think that other people do too.
Every day we come across people. I mean, even just yesterday, I met somebody, and she's in our RNG, Valanda. I had a one-on-one with her, and just hearing her story about coming to Detroit in '85,
Wow.
um, from Atlanta, and just that experience that she had, and ended up running the WIC program for Detroit.
Wow.
Yeah, oversaw 65 people
Wow.
in the mid '80s,
At
right?
a time, I mean, there's high need now too,
Right.
but especially then.
Right, and just coming fresh out of the army, being military police, it's incredible, and I mean, these are just people that are around us every day, right?
Yep.
So you never know someone's story until you take the time to ask them.
Yeah.
It's important.
So, yeah, I can't wait for that phase of this journey for us because I think that'll be when this thing really takes off. We'll get some really interesting people on here to kinda tell their stories, and that's gonna be the exciting content, I feel
No
like.
doubt.
You wanna talk about, like, where we're at right now?
Please, because
Because this is a very cool space.
absolutely. So, obviously, thank you so much to, I obviously plug for the people producing this for us, Midgeologic Media Company.
Yeah, look at this set they built.
I know.
Crazy.
Great. Definitely blew my expectations out of the water. But more importantly, Cares of Farmington Hills, where we're currently at right now, is an amazing place. They're actually considered a campus of hope, is what they call. But the main operation here is a food pantry, and it's a food pantry that actually looks and acts like a grocery store, which is huge. Um, to because typically a lot of people don't know what food pantries look like,
Yeah, please.
but food pantries typically, um, they don't disguise themselves. You go in there and it feels like
Is it like an office building with
it's
shelves or
correct.
something?
It's a distribution place. So it feels like you're getting free food. Where Cares has really taken that out, that whole aspect and experience, and turn it into a grocery store, which has kind of been the initial idea from the start, I believe. And really what they've done is they have a couple people on the board that have been huge players, Bush's, Doug Bush being one of them, donating a lot, I believe all of the grocery equipment, the shelves, the freezers, fridges, commercial fridges, that are like the ones you open up, just like at the grocery store, the checkout lanes.
Yeah, there's checkout lanes and
Yeah.
registers and stuff too, yeah. And, shout out to Bush's, I was actually a Bush's employee,
Oh,
and my stepdad has worked for Bush's for probably, like, 30
oh, really?
years, yeah,
Did not know
all
that.
over, yeah. So he's at the West Bloomfield store, but Farmington store is awesome too, so thank you, Bush's, for all you've done for Cares too.
And so really I think the key piece behind that was um, allowing families to come in, especially with their kids, and trying to break that cycle of what reality is, right? As a kid and growing up, I could imagine that coming in, knowing you're at a food pantry, it could do something to you, right?
Absolutely.
And what your baseline is and what reality is going to be for you moving forward is now different.
Yeah,
It's a grocery store.
I
Um,
I I love that. You don't have to people don't need to be treated differently just because of their situation. So everyone should have access to the same kinds of experiences.
Absolutely, and, now CARES serves over 900 families a month
And these are Farmington Hills
and
families
surrounding
and
areas.
surrounding areas. Wow.
Yep, no questions asked, food pantry. I mean, all they ask is that you don't take too much, and what too much is up to you. Um,
And
uh,
aren't they open to the public as well? Like anyone can come and shop.
that's a really good point, actually. Yeah, they have a separate market, that they actually encourage the public to come into and shop because all of the proceeds go back towards, buying food for the pantry.
That's awesome. So you can actually and it's in like if you guys have never been to the campus here, it is in the middle of this neighborhood and it is like so walkable and like honestly if I lived in this neighborhood, like I would come walk here and pick up my groceries because A it's going to a good cause and B it's like kind of a dream experience to have in
Yep.
Farmington Hills, like to have a walkable area like that.
Yep, and if you don't know where it's at, we're on Shiawassee in between, Inkster and Middlebelt.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and what did all of this used to be? Because I know that it was something else, and then now they're repurposed.
So it was a Catholic church, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And so up until I don't remember the years, I don't wanna, say the wrong year, but, Todd Lippa, who is the executive director for CARES, actually used to come here as a kid.
No way. I didn't
Grew
know
up
that.
coming to this church, and I think that the church played such a large role to him, and that was a big reason why, he ended up choosing this spot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's I just like investing in your community kind
Right.
of thing.
Full circle there.
Circle, absolutely. Um, so yeah, it's I've only been. This is my second time at Cares, and the first time I came, we got the full tour, and honestly, viewers, listeners, come check this place out and see how you can help it because they are really a need. 900 families. I mean, having lived in Farmington Hills my whole life, when I heard that when we came here the first time, I had no idea that there were so many families in need in our community, and so,
Yeah. Hard.
really glad it's here and really glad they're hosting us and allowing us to produce here, so thank you again.
Definitely blessed.
Um, you wanna talk some local
Yeah.
stuff?
Now let's get into it.
Get into it. So we were brainstorming some topics to discuss some timely things, and
We're gonna skip to the hot topic.
we're just gonna go hard in the paint and just let's talk about this deer call. The probably the most controversial thing to talk about since sheets showed up.
Right, which is so funny because I think that what happened with the Farmington Hills vote versus the Farmington vote was so different.
Yeah,
Because I was reading in the Farmington vote, it was like it was quick. There was one resident that spoke out
that did not want it.
that did not want it, and then they did a vote and it was unanimous.
That's interesting.
In comparison to the Hills vote, Farmington Hills vote,
Oh, it was contentious. There was only one dissent, but the meeting was they actually had to move it to the Hawk
which is crazy.
because there was so many people showed up, and in that meeting, there was people in, like, an overflow room, and so they had to, like, get through the overflow room
Oh my
before they even
gosh.
got to the people in the meeting room.
So let's set this up for people that don't know. What's the problem, DM?
So the problem is, there's a lot of deer in Farmington Hills, and that is true. There is an increasing amount of deer compared to, the 1980s and 1970s when Farmington Hills kind of first was growing.
Did you hear the DNR survey? Did you?
I did. I don't remember the number off the top of my head.
Per square mile, 200 deer.
That's a lot. I think it's supposed to be like in the 80s.
It is. It is. It is over double.
So it's over double what a habitat could reasonably handle, essentially, and have enough food for all of these things. Um, and so I'm in pest management, and I have a few opinions on how to handle this, and in general, I'm not the normal pest control company where, we just wanna bomb everything
Yeah, that's an important note for this.
use, chemicals as much as we can to solve people's problems. We practice something called integrated pest management, which means you're trying to solve pest problems with the least amount of chemicals, human intervention, like, you're really trying to minimize your impact on the greater environment while controlling pests. And so when it comes to deer control, I don't typically handle animals, so I will preface it with that. I handle more insects and small vertebrae, mice and chipmunks and that kind of stuff. But there are a lot of different options for deer control, including um, contraceptives, including sterilization, including culling, which was the big thing on the table for the vote that both cities did. And the in my opinion, the least amount of human intervention is the way to handle it because nature will figure it out. It is something uniquely human for us to feel like we need to intervene in a problem that is in nature when it normally, generally it's gonna figure itself out, but, there are multiple camps here. There are people that love the deer, and it's interesting that there was only one dissenting voice, and I will contribute that to the habitat of the different communities.
Absolutely.
Farmington Hills is a lot more green. It has a lot more green space.
Bigger.
Bigger yards. People probably have been interacting with deer in Farmington Hills a lot longer than the people in Farmington, because I would say that Farmington, there hasn't been as much habitat to support a large deer population, so it's a newer problem for that area of the city. Whereas, like, I've heard at the meeting, like, people choose to live in Farmington Hills, and one of the reasons why I choose to live in Farmington Hills is the connection to nature. And so I completely understand the people who do not want to call, because they live here for the wildlife and the nature. And actually, my mom lives at 12 and Middle Belt, and if you have heard, there's an albino deer in Farmington
Yeah, I
Hills.
saw that. Very convenient timing.
Very convenient timing. But that albino deer has been here for years.
Oh, really?
It has lived in my mom's yard.
Oh
and
my
she
God.
has acres of space
Long-time
for
resident.
3 years. Had multiple sets of fawns, and so it actually hangs in her yard the vast majority of the time. She sends me daily photos of this
Wow.
albino deer, and, it so I completely understand the people that do not wanna call, and honestly, if we do a call, I know there was an incident at Kensington. They did a call, I think it was about a decade ago, and there was an albino deer there, although I don't think it's albino.
Did they get it?
It's called leucistic, so it has just a
Oh,
lack of
okay.
pigmentation, but it's not albino. And when they called at Kensington, they called the albino one, and that was, like, a huge controversy. People were very upset because it was a beloved animal. It was like a
Right.
mascot for Kensington, and I would really hope
Not the mascot.
right, you cannot call the mascot, but I would really hope because they did approve the call, so we are gonna be doing it, but I hope that in this process, they do.
Which I don't know if everyone knows what a cull is.
So a call is they do targeted killing of deer in areas where they are a problem. They're not killing all of the deer.
Right.
They are reducing the population by a percentage,
Yeah.
and I think if I recall correctly, they wanna reduce it by about 35%.
Which should be, I mean, I'm for it.
That I'm like 35% is gonna bring it back
Yeah.
into a reasonable amount. Um, I think that it would happen on its own.
You do?
I mean, again, nature's gonna find its
Like
way.
through disease, you think though?
Chronic wasting is a way like, people think, "Oh, the deer are suffering," and it's not good. It's not good to see deer suffering, and I get why people don't wanna see that and why, people are saying, "Well, just kill them in the night. That way I don't have to look at it." Like, no one wants to see the reality.
That makes it better that they don't have to see it.
Yeah, so it's out of sight, out of mind, but, like, honestly, chronic wasting disease is the way that nature handles population control, and so, um, and of course, lack of food and that kinda thing is one of the main ways, and actually the main way that deer control happens in Farmington Hills is through vehicle accidents, and
Great deer control.
it's not ideal, and I know quite a few people who have had either hit deer or had deer hit their cars on the side, and, so I completely understand those 2 reasons, but what I cannot wrap my head around are the people who wanna call the deer because they are eating their gardening.
Save the hostas, man.
Hashtag save the house. I do not understand that. I have my yard, I'm in Kendallwood, and my yard is, actually just got a sign and a certificate. My yard is a certified wildlife habitat,
Oh, really?
actually, yep,
How
and
do you get that?
so, it's through the, National Wildlife Federation. And it is not hard. You I mean, it's hard to get your yard to the point that you would be considered a certified wildlife habitat, like, you need to have, food, water, place to raise young, and there was one more, parameter that you had to meet. But then, like, literally, you just have to answer the survey and
They
and
send it?
and then they send it, yeah, and you
Kinda
donate
cool.
too,
I
so
like
it's
that.
cool. Honestly, it's a really nice feeling, but what the point I'm making is I have a certified wildlife habitat. I have so many flowers, pond, um, native plants, and I have deer that come every day. I have bird
Yeah.
feeders everywhere, and they do not eat my stuff. I have tulips.
They don't eat
They
anything?
don't eat it. They ate some of the tulip leaves, but the tulips still popped. They're still color. They're still there. Still look great. And so, like I have ferns. I have a tree line, and there's ferns growing in it. So I'm sorry, people with hostas, but like you can just change what you're planting. And honestly, if you're using the correct native plants, the deer aren't going to eat it.
Interesting.
And so I do not understand that argument. And when you look on these Facebook groups and when you listen to these,
I think it's the main reason.
that is the main, like, other than car accidents, people are sick of their hostas being eaten.
Oh, man.
And I just can't get behind that for a reason to start killing things. Like, that's ridiculous. Especially when there's other solutions.
I mean, but like a large hosta is kinda sick though.
They don't I love them. 'Em, don't get me wrong, like, it's great for your property and for your landscaping, but there are so many other things that you can put out that also
That's
look
fair.
great.
Yeah.
Um,
'Cause I'll tell you what, I'll be honest, we do get mad about our houses. It's frustrating.
Like people spend a lot of money on it.
We're growing a salad bar.
You've started a buffet for the deer.
100%.
So you cannot be surprised.
The spray,
You have the worries in it. The spray works, but you do have to do it regularly. And if it rains or if it's dewy, you got to do it again. If people are notoriously inconsistent when it comes to doing stuff like that. And actually, as a business, I've even thought to offer like monthly spray services for people's gardens to try to do like
Yeah.
a deer prevention kind of thing. But it's just not effective enough for me to kind of like turn it into
Yeah.
a program. I don't want to do something that people aren't going to be satisfied with the results, but
Sure.
it is something that if you are consistent with it, it will do a great job at
Yeah.
preventing the deer too. So I can't say that I'm necessarily pro call, but we do have a problem, and that is for a city the most cost effective way to kind of try to handle this situation. And when you are talking tax dollars and you're talking about spending other people's money to do this, that is a very heavily fraught act.
Honestly, it really is. The cost is the biggest thing.
And I know that there was a lot of misinformation out there about like state laws not allowing birth control or sterilization. And in Michigan, there was a law passed for a short period of time that expired that did ban the sterilization of deer, but there is no law currently on the books that does ban it. And same with contraceptive.
Interesting.
If it were my choice, and I was a decision maker on the city, I would heavily look at the contraceptive route. Yeah, because at the start of this year, the city of Farmington Hills went over their budget surplus, and it is in the tens of millions of dollars. And so I think that the city could have spared some expense
Yeah.
to, or I should say, well, that would be spared no expense. But I think a lot of the people who are complaining said, the city hasn't done enough education of residents on what to put in your garden and the correct signage for the areas where there is a lot of deer crossings. Like 11 Mile and Orchard Lake Road is like a heavy deer area. And someone at the city council meeting for the vote even brought up the fact that there were deer signs on 11 or on Orchard Lake,
Yeah, there are.
south of 11 Mile. And those signs are blocked by trees. And then there was like a memorial sign put up on Orchard Lake for maybe it was like a fallen police officer or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. But so like they had this deer crossing sign, but then it's blocked by trees and then other signage that the city put up. So like you can't even see those signs. And like doing an education campaign around Heritage Park, like there's tons of deer there. Like,
Right.
so has the city sent out any mailers educating residents on where these problem areas are and how to be careful in these areas when they're driving to reduce vehicle collisions? The number one cause of vehicle collisions in the Farmington Hills is distracted driving. And we're not talking about culling people. So, no, but like it's like kill, like that's the solution, kill. And I say this as someone whose job is to kill things. Like should not be your first choice.
I think too the big factor though is like that, and trust me, I struggle with delayed gratification.
I think everyone
I'm
does.
a
Everyone,
holding member of that category,
yeah.
and as a resident, and now like fast forward to where we are now, Farmington Hills, Farmington, and Southfield too have all voted.
Yeah.
And they're all doing calls. So I think my immediate gratification's happy.
Yeah, like a solution, finally.
Solution, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the city did spend a lot of time trying to figure this out.
They did. Yep,
It
and
was not a hasty decision.
no, I don't think it was. And I think we could always do things better, right?
Right.
In different scenarios.
Yeah.
I think we all are guilty of that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see how it goes.
And how it goes.
I will be curious to see, 5 years from now. I'm like, frankly,
And we have no deer.
well, I don't think we'll have no deer. No, actually, I think it's going to be the opposite. My opinion is that this really isn't going to change anything. It's going to reduce the population. The deer that are around are still going to be eating people's hostas. There's still going to be
You think so?
absolutely, like because there's not enough. So, okay, if you really want to get to the underlying issue here, the issue is that there is not enough habitat for the deer or the predators of deer. So there's still going to be close interaction between humans and deer. So that we've done nothing to actually address that underlying problem where, okay, planning board's approving development in like the last undeveloped parcels of the city. And where are they going to go? If you're planting the salad bar buffet, the Ruby Tuesday salad bar for the deer,
I
uh,
don't even think there is a Ruby Tuesday.
no, that's gone. That's Princess and Soroki's, which are both
Oh my
great
god.
places too. But the the underlying issue is that there's still going to be deer human interaction. Um, I think that deer collision is a result of distracted driving too. Like, it's not all, but a large percentage of them is like people are distracted driving, and if a deer runs out of in front of you and you're texting or looking at your phone or chatting with someone next to you, like that is a major cause of accidents.
For sure.
So, no, I really don't think that the end result of this is gonna be that much different. So,
We'll see.
we'll see, yeah. Yeah, so is there anything else you wanna talk about local right now?
Not this time, no. But I think the next podcast, let's get into downtown Farmington and
Okay, yeah.
talk about some of the development has happened,
Yep,
as well as what's coming up in the future.
yep.
Because there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Farmers market just started last
Yep,
weekend.
just
Did you
started.
have a
Yep.
chance to go?
I did not. I was out of town,
I didn't either. I was kind
but
of
next weekend I'll be here for it. But I hear it's just as good as it always has been.
it's a staple.
Which, if you're a fish person and you like white fish pate, listen, there's a vendor there that has some
It's on point.
fire.
It's great.
Yeah.
It really is.
Not that I just plugged them, so let's go.
Not sponsored by the Whitefish Pet.
Maybe
No.
someday.
Maybe someday we'll get him to sponsor you, Rod. Cool. So yeah, that's that. I like that. Let's definitely talk about downtown Farmington next episode and the stuff going on down there. Um, so we're gonna be on all different platforms. We're still gonna work on creating like a social media that you can reach us at. It might be a Facebook page, it might be an Instagram page. We'll probably create some sort of dedicated email in case there are listener questions, listener suggestions, guest opportunities. Like, honestly, if any of the listeners, viewers of this have suggestions, please let us know. Would love to hear. We always want to be improving this. If you want to hear a specific guest, someone from the community, or someone you want to hear more from, let us know. And between Trevor and I, we know quite a few people. We'll try to get whoever we can on here.
We've got some cool people in the pipeline.
We do. We do. I know if this kind of pans out the way we're hoping, it's going to be a really good medium to kind of connect. Um, So yeah, please let us know if you have any suggestions. Um, that's all I have.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
I'm Dion Gennaro,
I'm Trevor Medema.
and thanks for tuning in and staying in the loop.
Peace.